You're done, time for a new one, part 2, final ending. So, I just had a really long talk with my GF. I'm not going to get into the emotional stuff. But we've repaired mostly from where we were meandering. We never let these things go on too long. She says that she believes me when I say I'm done with my ex forever. But with what happened so recently, she said that I most likely have moved on, but am I not over it? I disagreed initially, but when she asked me about my ex-fiancé and I said I didn't care what happened to her in the hospital, she told me that's evidence of me still holding feelings. Not for my ex, but negative ones for my past incident. I realized she's right. When my ex threatened herself before, I wasn't going to back down, no doubt on that. But nonetheless, I still would feel rueful about another person hurting themselves. Now I honestly don't care whether she kills herself or not, and I realize those kinds of feelings are a problem. I know I'm not that kind of person and should never be thinking that about anyone. She told me she loves me and isn't going anywhere but wants to help me completely through my ordeal before we move on to the next step in our lives. I agree, she's always been right about these things, and I also feel that I need more of something. Although I don't yet know exactly what I need. Thing is, I suggested I see and she agreed, but she thinks that we need to see my ex and set things straight. When I say we, yes, I mean she wants to be there as well. I can't agree with this. She says it may help give me closure. But I can't see it as anything but a bad idea. What can visit her do for me? Can seeing an ex really bring closure in this kind of infidelity, or is it just a red herring? Side note, I asked if she'd wear it on a necklace and she said she would if I'd stop brooding so kind in a happy days right now. I've had apathy to my ex so far, at least I think I did, and I don't think she liked it. Said when the topic of my ex came up, I get quieter, but it's not because of my ex, only because it brings up memories of my own weakness and the sorry state I was in. I've never truly forgiven myself for what I allowed to happen. I really need to schedule some. I see. She knows I have pain. About 1.5 years of my life was wasted, and that disgust is going to be there for a long while. But that doesn't mean I'm damaged or anything like that. The thing is, I don't know how to express this. The man I was when we first started dating, no, that's definitely who I'm not going back to. He was a wreck. And the brooding thing is actually an inside joke, lol. I work in IT and will frequently be sorting figures and values in my head at times, even when I'm not working. While doing it, I'm usually a bit lost in thought, and she always teases me that maybe she should draw the blinds and light a candle. I only cried in front of her maybe 3 times, one of them being when I was holding my 8.5-pound 19-inch son who was just born. But yeah, I see what you mean. My whole trauma has made me more emotionally reactive, I suppose, and that's another thing on my list that I need to fix. I know how much she loves me, and I'm going to be the man that can properly love her. Funny you should mention something rugged. When we met, I was pretty much hiding my damage. It was the first time I was forgetting about my I honestly don't know what the hell to call what I went through, and incident seems nasty. We had fun while dating and it drew me out of my shell. I think I didn't post about myself in detail, but I do have worries about being selfish, cause my ex was very selfish and I wouldn't want anyone to feel what I was feeling then. I go out with friends or have them over sometimes to chill, and I hit the gym 5 times a week for at least 2 hours. I'm also an avid gamer, among other hobbies like a basketball or other sports, since there's a nice big field about a 20-minute walk away. I walk instead of drive, so my body is warmed up by the time I get there. We talk about our problems and misgivings, but it's more that I just like spending time with her than her demanding my time. I don't think that I put her on a pedestal, but I may have given off that vibe since I haven't posted much about my daily life. As far as I'm concerned, I'm over my ex. How is apathy not caring about her? Honestly, I care about her well-being as much as I care about the well-being of the guy smoking a cigarette on a bench who I see out of my office window right now. Is that not enough? Am I supposed to be friends with her to be gotten over her? Send her Christmas cards for, "Hey, Merry Christmas, you toxic bee." I know I'm ranting right now, but it's a sore spot for me. Honestly, even now a few people think I'm not over her because I'm not a tranquil monk about her and forgiveness. I have no forgiveness to give, but I'm not abstaining it or holding it either. What she did was ducked up and wrong. I didn't like it and cut her out of my life. As far as I'm concerned, why not leave it at that? I have IC scheduled, but the first counselor was too damn obstinate in her ideals about moving on, saying I should be able to chat with her, wish her well on holidays, etc. Biggest thing though is that later today my GF and I are driving down to the hospital to visit. I still think it's a bad idea, but she would have gone without me if I didn't agree. She says she's not there to yell or anything, just to talk, but I know she's still pissed about how my ex was trying to insert herself in my life, saying I should leave my GF and take her back. One of the biggest things though was that back then she said she'd raise my child like her son with me, and there was a lot of crap over that comment, and she never got to confront her over that or anything else. Used a phone book, called her mother, so she's going to be there when we arrive just in case. Damn, this suck. I worked so many sleepless nights for over a year, asked my parents for a 5-figure check to help me pay for it, to come home to it and see it empty, even rugs and newly bought and unused bathrobes, some stuff that my family and friends bought me for Christmas, birthdays, and an extra kick in the nuts was that she brought OM with her and he was traipsing around in my house putting his ducking hands on my stuff and loading them in a U-Haul to take with them. My neighbor knew my ex-fiancé, so he didn't get suspicious and he thought we were moving or something. He asked and she said yeah. And then proceeded to loot my home with the muscular and bald black guy. OM, he described to me, that launched me into a monotonous depression that lasted around a year. Wake up, work, eat, waste time on bullcrap I didn't care about like surfing Yahoo News, sleep, rinse and repeat for a year that I honestly can't remember a lot of it. I never did and never would even touch that woman again, ever. The thing is, when she approached me after 3 years for the first time, I suffered an intense panic attack and locked up. I was kind dissociative at this point and actually let her in, and my GF really didn't like it that she set foot in our home and the home of our child. Thing is, my GF doesn't like my thinking of her. Says it's unhealthy, and it probably is. Currently, she's been in and out of the hospital since, and I heard a second suicide attempt, but I honestly don't give a crap. We're going to the hospital in 2 hours or so. So here it is. We got there, and after getting directions from my ex's mom, I got outside her room. Her mom is really glad to see me and even hugged me. I find out why she's so glad to see later on. Thankfully, her husband was absent. She did notice I brought my GF though. She thanked her for being here, but then asked if I could go in by myself for the first few minutes. My GF is a very gracious person, so she agreed. I go in and she was turned the other way. I was going to speak, but then I notice how she is, hooked up to a machine, and I notice bandages on both of her wrists. That kind hit me and tossed me off my mind frame. It's one thing to hear about it, but seeing it is completely another. I make a noise of something because then she turns around and sees me and starts crying and trying to get up. I was intending to just stand a few feet away while inside, but I really didn't think she should have been getting out of bed being hooked up to all that stuff, so I moved to ease her back down, and then she starts to hug me and planted a quick kiss on my face, kind on my cheekbone, before I jumped away and wiped myself off. I kind of shout, "What the duck is she doing?" and she starts crying again and saying it's been so long since she's seen me. I ask her didn't she remember what I said nearly a month ago, and she says she knows that I'm done with her, but that she still feels the same and still loves me and all that garbage. I was about to say more until my GF entered, probably came in because she heard me yelling. I think she heard that last part and was pissed but tried to calm her down. She kind of did, and that's when she introduced herself to her and laid down what's what, that we're together, and that she needs to leave us alone. It was so weird. It's like she wasn't even registering her talking to her. She just started crying again, asked me if I can stay for a while and if my GF could leave. And that's when my GF got pissed, really pissed off. I could tell, but she just left the room fast, and I start to go after her and my ex starts crying again and shouting a bit. Her mother comes in then asking what happened, and I said she still hasn't moved on yet. And I was kind of pissed at her mom now for not letting that bit of information slip. Turns out much of the time she's been there, she's been asking for me, but since I told her mom not to involve me, so she didn't call but said she did to her daughter. I just couldn't handle all that drama and left the room hearing some more screaming before I closed the door, and I was expecting my GF in the hallway but she wasn't there. So, I run back to the car and she's inside tearing up. I hold her and she's telling me how ducked up this situation is, and just wishes she'd leave us alone. Now I was livid. Some of me wanted to go back there and yell the hospital down, but a much bigger part of me wanted to get my GF back to our home and son, so we left. When we get home, I tell her all of what happened in the room before she came in, including the kiss. She was tired and I didn't want to burden her more with more, but I felt it best to tell her anyways because it'd be harder later. She took that well, but I can tell it annoyed her. After our child was tucked away, we went to sleep with me holding her. After all this, and all that happened nearly a month ago, she still doesn't get it. I don't know what more to do here. She's probably going to be released in a few days. Can you get a retaining order against a hospitalized person though? I also just don't get why she is so obsessed with me all of a sudden. Even though we were engaged once, it's not like our relationship was perfect or anything. In hindsight, it was a piece of crap. She took advantage of my generosity frequently, left me sexually stifled for weeks and months at times by saying she was just turned off of sex, when in fact, other man was getting it every which way at least 4 to 5 times a week, and flat out took me for granted. Hell, I was still checking her Facebook after 9 months or so after the break, and she posted that she was getting married and life is bliss and other crappy comments that try to be profound and enlightening and all that but just sound so stupid. Now I'm supposed to be her soulmate. I'm just getting really tired of this, and I've given serious thought to moving before, but my GF said she doesn't want us to. Especially in this market, I know it's taking a toll on her. but she said she's more frustrated at her and our situation than our relationship. She told me our relationship is still perfect, but that the situation with my ex is stressing her, and she got really creeped out after she talked to her for the first time. My ex basically flat out ignored my GF after she laid everything down, in an articulate and respectful manner I might add, and just started yammering at me like I'm the only person in the room. Has anyone seen anything like this? I just feel like my GF and I are so confused and alone on how to deal with this. I know she trusts me, but she really just wishes my ex would just disappear so we can go back to normal before all this drama. Man, and seeing the ring swaying from her neck is a real good feeling. Sometimes I'll just notice it when I'm not even thinking about it. Half a year later is about other man. Other man was some overly muscled garbage who she met who the hell knows where. Post-day I waited for him outside a spot I knew he'd be and gave him the X of his life. Despite all his muscles, he did not know how to fight, so within 1 minute he's on the ground holding his hands above his head while I use one arm to hold them away and X him with the other. Luckily, I was not arrested, nor forced to pay OM's medical bills due to coincidence or God. I have only seen OM one other time since that day, until 2 days ago. Like most people going through infidelity, exercise is a suggested method of letting off steam and getting in shape. I've been exercising at the same gym for about 5 years now, 3 to 5 days a week. I'm a regular. This Monday I go and I see other man wiping off some deadlift bars. I walk up and ask him what the hell he's doing here. He tries to cop tough like I didn't X the crap out of him 5 years ago. Nearly made me smack him then and there, and said he's a personal trainer and I should mind my own business. I tell him to do a variety of highly impossible things to himself, and since I started triggering a bit on the spot, I left before finishing my workout so I wouldn't do anything I'd regret. He is in better shape than I last saw him outside a restaurant, but I toned up these past years and have no doubt I could manhandle him again, but I don't want to. The thing is, I could probably get him to lose his job. If you've been a gym a while, you know personal trainers stick around more for how well they get along with the people who work out than what they actually know about training. Over the years I've seen more than a few overly angry, sullen, and awkward PTs, and they are usually gone within a month or two and replaced by the male model or chipper blonde type. I know a lot of people there and the owner is my friend. Most there also know about the infidelity I suffered and worked out with me, and we got to know each other. I let slip he's OM or raise a stink about it, I could probably get him let go. I know his job and financial situation by the way too. My dumbass ex racked him up some nice debt while they were screwing around behind my back, partying, leasing cars, crap like that. Also heard from a friend he lost his job at the factory he worked at. The thing is, should I? I don't owe him a damn thing, I know that, but I'm uneasy about messing with another man's livelihood. I don't care about the piece of crap, but I wouldn't want a person on the streets due to my personal malice. While I wouldn't lose any sleep over it, it'd probably bother me. But then I think of the stories I've read by people like Dig about getting back at OM and feel more partial to it. And then I think that if I don't, I'd be seeing the loser on a weekly basis and get a bit angry. But then the first thought comes back and I can't make a decision. I could probably use equipment on the west floor and not see him but duck him. Why should I change my workout routine because of him? I think I'm going to tell the gym owner when I go in for a run later. I can't have this guy in my gym every week, his job be damned. I deleted all the emails, but this asshole was in many of them, talking crap about me, and this punk never even met me. He knew she was engaged. He just got a kick out of chilling with a woman who was to be another man's wife. Duck him, he's got to go for sure. Update. So, I did tell the owner that his new PT is my OM. Oddly enough, he steered the conversation towards it when he asked why I left more than an hour early when I never do. He was pretty shocked at that and thanked me for not fighting him or causing a big mess on the ground floor. He says he's going to think about it and asked me not to tell anyone for a few days. I think he's worried since more than a few wives go there. And if their husbands found out, there'd definitely be problems. I'll respect his request and not talk about it for a while, so out of my hands now. I'm still a bit undecided since when I dwell on it, I get a bit angry, but then when I'm not, it's just all mixed up and hard to figure out. I also told my GF about it and she told me I should handle it the way I feel is best, but doesn't want OM there personally since that would probably annoy me and might remind her of my ex-fiancé on the few days she goes in. My GF had a real problem with the ex's craziness. She was stalking us for a while, and when that didn't work, she attempted suicide, and not the fake notice me kind. She probably would have died if her father didn't have chronic diarrhea and stumble in the bathroom while just in time. I think it's a good thing. While the gym was at first just my reprieve from my triggers and the infidelity, it became a safe haven for everything else too. Seeing OM there, it just didn't feel right. Got to vent or I'll go crazy. Update. Other man is as of now gone. The owner deliberated on this for a couple of days. He then decided, with my permission, to tell a few longtime members just who other man was, and judging by their reactions the choice was pretty clear. Nice knowing several people had my back like that. He let him go, and after that OM asked to talk to me. We did, on the 8th floor of the building, just by the entrance. It wasn't a talk really, all he did was start pouting. Couldn't believe, guys talking about it happened half a decade ago. We were both younger crap, meaning is all bull crap. For some reason I got really cold mad. I told him I don't care about him or his life after the way he threw a monkey wrench into mine, that I didn't owe him a damn thing. And he deserves all he gets from me and anything else the world throws at him. Then he said I ruined his life then and am doing the same thing now, and he smacked me. Not a hard smack, but a condescending one. Then I ducked up. I snapped. This is the guy who sees my ex-fiancée every which way for more than 2 years. And then this guy has the idea to lay hands on me. I didn't think of anything after that. I just X him, and I kept X him and pushed him against one of the lockers alongside the wall and started X him some more. This didn't last long. There was a whole lot of yelling, and some dudes pulled me off of him. He wasn't unconscious, but he was bleeding at the mouth and nose and holding his stomach where I knee him a couple of times. Overall, he was hurt worse. Probably since I X'd both his face and his stomach this time. The owner told me to get the duck out and I did. I left all my stuff behind, but I honestly don't care about any of that right now. And I haven't been back to the gym since. I don't know what's going to happen. It's only been 2 days and I've heard nothing from anybody. But I can't just stroll back into the gym. My GF is not happy right now, but I don't have it in me to post about that right now. My boss doesn't know yet, but if word spreads or I get hauled, then he will soon, so I think I should tell him now. What am I supposed to do now? I screwed up big time. Okay, I think I'll call up the owner and ask about this. Me and my GF have been talking long on this. And she's not too mad, but scared about what's going to happen from here on, and pissed about why I'd agree to talk to him. We've been fighting on that last point all of yesterday and things are really tense. Got a free consultation with a lawyer later today as well. See what she says. I just want this thing to go away. The attorney said if I haven't been picked up by now. I probably won't be. I don't want to press charges as that could get ugly. He decides to say nothing, I'll do the same. I talked to the owner. He was really pissed because he thought I started it, but people corroborated that he put hands on me first. Thankfully, I didn't get myself banned. Story 2. Short backstory. Wife and I are now separated. We separated due to her becoming violent and then getting arrested for DV. She was given a restraining order and evicted from our house. She has no job, so she quickly ran out of money. While at her hotel, she went to a local bar and met a guy. This guy let her move into his house and they are now in a sexual committed relationship. Needless to say, we are rapidly heading for D. From an academic point of view, I am asking what drives a woman to pick up a guy in a bar and then leave her relationship to live with him. Does that relationship have a chance of survival after going physical so quickly and them living together? Again, I am asking from a logical standpoint, not an emotional one. The behavior seems so bizarre to me that I know it is not normal. Thoughts. Mental instability. She has been diagnosed as having a mild form of bipolar disorder. I, of course, don't want to fix her issues, nor can I. I am just looking at her actions from a logical standpoint and trying to understand what drives someone to do something like that. I guess trying to rationalize irrational behavior. Things are a waste of time. I have 3 daughters, 13, 11, and 5. I have custody of them. She wants visitation at the OM house over the weekend. I am totally against this as she does not fully know this man and I know nothing of him. VA law actually makes this more complicated. I am trying to assess her behavior for the purpose of how to proceed with visitation regarding our children. I am also trying to understand, from a logical perspective, what drives someone to commit the actions she has committed and how long I should expect her new relationship to last. I ask that because I don't want my children to bond to this person only to have him disappear from their lives quickly and thus confuse them. My court hearing for the protective order is tomorrow and I am trying to decide what to ask the judge for in terms of visitation for the benefit of protecting my children. My wife drinks and has either bipolar type 2 or borderline personality disorder. She has been diagnosed with both. Her relationship with me has been very unstable, and her past relationships were the same way. I don't expect this relationship to last long once the honeymoon phase ends. That is my main concern for my children's sake. Okay, almost 1 month of separation down, sort of. My WW had a major fight with other man and moved her stuff back into our house. The next day, after several sappy texts, she moves back to his place. She calls me and I decide to answer this time. I'm doing 180, but we have 3 kids, so it is hit or miss when I answer. She tells me she is feeling bad about what she has done to me and the kids. I tell her, why feel bad? You are not going to do anything about it. She agrees but still feels guilty. Tonight, I pick our kids up from visiting with her at OM's house. I go in but other man is not willing to come downstairs to meet me or talk to me. She gives me a puppy dog face and clearly looks upset. I give her a hug and small kiss on the forehead and tell her I love her. I guess I don't understand why she feels guilty. She is in a new house with other man, although they have a rocky relationship. I know she isn't going to ask to come home, but I guess I'm not understanding where the guilty feelings are coming from. She also wants to see the kids more than the one evening per week and every other weekend she has now. I ask her what she wants and she says she is confused and doesn't know, of course. This means she wants to cake eat, be at home while screwing other guys. That is not for me. I am nervous about filing for divorce because I make a lot more money and don't want to be on the hook for spousal support. Is there any way I can divorce her without being taken to the cleaners financially? My WW refuses to give up contact with the OM. The divorce process has been started but takes a long time here in VA. I have had my lawyer draft my separation agreement and she has had her lawyer draft hers. They are nowhere near each other and some mediation. Negotiation is going to be required. That is beside the point. Right now, there are no court orders in effect governing custody or property division to help my WW overcome her alcohol and other man addiction. Alcohol drives desire for OM. She has no desire for him when she is not drinking. I propose the following. I'm looking to see what others think to make sure I am not too far off base. 1. She does not get a car. I own both cars in my name only. I will take her to and from work. 2. No alcohol in the home since she cannot control her drinking. 3. She has 2 weeks to get off the fence and decide if she wants the marriage or other man. She has agreed to MC. 4. No going to bars alone or with girlfriends as she cannot control her desire to flirt when she's drunk. 5. She agrees to NC with OM. If I notice contact with OM on the cell phone or she guards it too closely, I take the SIM card from the phone, disabling it. My phone is available for inspection at all times. 6. We have each other's passwords to FB, email, etc. Failure of boundaries 2, 4, or 5 results in filing of contested divorce to have her removed from the home or myself and the kids move out. Failure of boundaries 3 or 6 will result in the continuation of the uncontested divorce. Failure of boundary 1 is not possible since the keys are locked up off-site. I started IC today and the first session has taught me just how toxic my WW is to me. I am now at the point where being friends is just not possible. Knowing there is another man in the picture makes it too tough to be around her. Feeling like some kind of second choice is not for me. I guess we can talk for the sake of the kids. But other than that, it's a hard 180. I have the same problem. I am a fixer as well and have a strong desire to shield her from her consequences. I know I have to let go and let her live her life without me. I was the breadwinner for years and she has nothing financially, but she chose to walk away. I cannot fix her problems. I have to let her go so she can fully feel the consequences of her choices. Tough to do but must be done. No more talking except for the kids. Back to the full 180. As the saga of my separation continues, it takes an ugly turn of sorts. My middle daughter was so looking forward to seeing her mom tomorrow after school. So much so she wanted to ride the bus to her house. We live about 2 miles apart and visit the afternoon with her mom. I told her to call her mother and ask her if it was okay for her to come by. Then my daughter hit the brick wall. My STBXW told her no, and when asked why, she brazenly told her, "I have plans with other man tomorrow." Sorry, my daughter was so heartbroken. Words cannot describe the anger that I feel over this situation. Poor girl. When I called to talk to her about it, she said, "I don't need to see my kids every day, you know." Response: again, my poor daughter. The real victim of her mother's adultery. I told her I loved her and that I cannot explain the reasons why her mother does what she does. I had to really bite my tongue to not badmouth her in front of my kids. So selfish, I must say, to put an affair partner ahead of your own flesh and blood. We don't have a custody agreement because STBXW won't sign a separation agreement. My children live with me and she doesn't pay child support. Maybe it is time for that to change. I have offered in our settlement agreement to give her $750 each month until I retire from the military. That could be in as little as 3 years or as many as 10 years from now. Our marriage statistics: 1. Married 14 years. My income is 6 times her income. 2. Wife convicted of 2 counts of domestic acts against me earlier in the month. No jail, but will have to complete DV counseling and alcohol counseling and 2 years good behavior. She goes to it daily and hasn't drank in a couple of weeks since the sentence. 3. Wife had seen 8 different men since January last year and is currently in a PIA with guy number 9. 4. No custody agreement is in place with our kids, but they live with me and she pays no child support. 5. Wife has a job, albeit minimum wage, but she has no real expenses other than utilities where she lives. She does not pay the mortgage on the house she is in as it is in pre-foreclosure. She is convinced that she is entitled to more support and I feel that is not the case. In any event, What are your opinions? Should I offer to pay SS outside of a court order or sign settlement agreement? I think in light of all that has happened and my current circumstances with supporting my children by myself, I would say no. Half a year later, I have reached my end point of patience with this woman. I have made it very clear that I will not allow her to teach my children that adultery is okay. I have told her that the relationship with the other man will not take place in front of our children while we are still married, and that if it does, I will seek sole custody. That went over like a lead balloon. The response: I hate you with a passion and never want to see you again, and my favorite: I wish you would just go away. Not to mention that you're just a jealous piece of crap who can't just let me be happy. Of course, it's good riddance to me. My kids, on the other hand, can't stand the high conflict. Thankfully, we don't live together. We do, unfortunately, have to have contact about the kids. I am not jealous. I don't care at this point what she does on her own or what she does when we are finally divorced, but when the kids are involved and while we are still married, I demand the proper example for them be set. Parents should do this for their children. Thoughts? Comment down below, and I am going to work on the next one.